My sister accidentally sent the wrong photos to the family group chat. Now everyone knows that both sisters are into sharing their husbands with each other and I can't bleach my eyes. For a bit of backstory, my sisters have been best friends forever. They were best friends in childhood, best friends in public school, and my oldest sister, Kat, even waited a year for my younger sister, Sherry, to finish high school so they could go to college at the same time. They went through college and ended up meeting two guys they would both marry shortly after, about a month apart. Kat has one kid, and Sherry has two. Anyway, they live in the same town and are still best friends. Sherry is a stay-at-home mom, while Kat works as an accountant. Both husbands work in office positions. Our family, immediate and extended, is big on email since everyone sends pictures of various things to each other, kids, vacations, etc. Sherry loves to send pictures of her kids to the family and includes all of us in the family group for mass emails. So, yesterday, she sent out a mass email titled, "Great evening, can't wait to do it again," with a folder attachment containing pictures. Not gonna lie, kids bore me, so I ignored it. About 10 minutes later, I got a text from a cousin of mine who is part of my social circle that simply said, "Holy effing crap." I asked what, and he said, "Did you look at Sherry's email?" I said no, and he told me to go look ASAP. Wow. So, Sherry and Kat are swingers with their respective husbands. They are also into group smashing. They are also into pictures. Lots of them. I looked, I am messed up, I know, but morbid fascination took hold. They share husbands, they have 3 ways with their husbands, and they really like all forms of under the sheets intimacy. It was incredibly graphic. So, after the shock of this, I then realized Sherry sent this to our entire family. We are having Christmas dinner on Saturday. We do it earlier since it is easier on everyone's schedules. I have talked to no one except my cousin. It has been deathly quiet among our family, and I really don't want to be there Saturday. How do I handle this? What do I say to my sisters or my parents? I think booze will be heavily consumed on Saturday. Update 1. Okay, so, I replied to Sherry, giving her a heads up about what was emailed, as many of you guys suggested, so they wouldn't be caught totally off guard. She never responded. I imagine she was in panic mode all day Friday, probably debating whether to come. Saturday rolls around, and I drive to my aunt and uncle's where it is being held. I got there before Sherry and Kat and was immediately pulled aside by my dad. He said not a word about it, it never happened. If Uncle Mark got belligerent, we were supposed to remind him of how he's ruined every relationship he's ever been in by cheating. An hour later, Sherry and brother-in-law number 1 came in with their kids. Everyone greeted them, hugged, etc. She came up to me with a look that said, "Do you hate me?" That kind of broke my heart. I hugged her, said I loved her no matter what, and left it at that. Kat, their son, and brother-in-law number 2 came in 30 minutes later, and we did the hug and greet. The rest of the dinner was normal, with no outrageous comedy lines or outbursts. That being said, I wanted to talk to one of them in private, because, after talking on here, I had questions. So last night, after the meal, those of us in the younger crew went to a bar not far down the road, while the older family watched the kids for the evening. All 4 of them hit the booze pretty fast, and I don't blame them. I am sure they had been waiting for the outrage all evening. Eventually, Kat and I ended up alone. We made small talk, and I was thinking about the best way to approach it. She finally just blurted out, "Just get on with it." I nervously laughed, and then asked how long they had been doing that. She said since college. They went to a party with their boyfriends, not their current husbands, and after drinking and taking X, they ended up all 4 in bed together. That started their new ventures. Later, they ended up trading boyfriends, to try something new. When they met their current husbands, they continued this practice and have been doing so since college. I asked why the pictures. She said they like to look at them to get in the mood. I asked how often they do these events. She said every 2 to 3 months, just something that spices it up for them. I asked if they do it with others, and she said no way. They're only comfortable with the 4 of them because they all have feelings for each other. I turned my head a bit at that, and she explained that she loves her husband more than anything, but after being with Sherry's husband on that basis for nearly 7 years, she couldn't help but have feelings for him. She said Sherry feels the same for her husband. She said her connection with Sherry has always stayed incredibly strong, and they have never felt jealousy. She said it makes the 4 of them closer as best friends. She told me that if either of their husbands went outside of the 4 of them, they'd cut their manhood off. My sweet sisters discussing cutting off the sacred sword was a pretty big shock, though it was in jest. I asked if they ever get with the other husband without their sister or their own husband. She said when they were younger they would, but work and life now restrict how often they can, and for the last few years, the interactions have always involved all 4 of them. So, it came down to the final big question, one that I had been working up the nerve to ask. Do you and Sherry ever do anything? She looked at me for a while, probably deciding if she should answer. She told me they had messed around with each other 4 times, once by themselves before they met their husbands and 3 times since. She said it takes being extremely in the mood and also depraved to even consider it, and it hadn't happened in years, but they had in the past, and who knows what the future holds. So, we had a few more drinks, just letting it all settle. Not going to lie, I enjoyed being close enough for her to open up to me. I had never experienced that before. I then asked to make sure they were being smart about it, with birth control and whatnot, and she gave me a "are you stupid" look and said, "Of course." I then hugged her and said, "I still love you. You are still my loving big sister, and I don't think any less of you, Sherry, or your husbands. If you ever want to talk about anything, call me." The rest of the night didn't have anything noteworthy. We went back to the house, and everyone drove home today. Sherry did call me and tell me that since I knew about their intimate lives, I had to tell them about mine. I said, I don't really have anything interesting like that I know of. Who knows what I will discover one day. The only partner I have had for a while is my hand. My intimate life is nowhere near as interesting as theirs. She ended the call with, thank you for still loving me, which kind of caught me off guard. Thus, Christmas dinner with the family ended, with no additional drama or fires. Commenter. Not even Batman could get that information out of me.